podcast you're now listening to was produced through the efforts of many people, the designers, artists, programmers, musicians, and lots of other hardworking folks. If you make copies of this podcast for any reason other than to make a personal backup, you're not only breaking the law, but raising the cost of the podcast for all legitimate listeners. Please do not make illegal copies of this podcast. Oh, and by the way, you'll need the information contained in the printed documentation to successfully complete this podcast. In other words, it's not just the law. It's a good idea. This is Quest.
Is it?
Now, Jess, I wrote this was a joke idea when I started to play Quest for Glory 1 again, which is the what we're going to talk about today. And I saw that opening, which I've seen a million times over like 30 plus years. And I thought, oh, that would be a fun little thing to read at the beginning, because that's at the beginning of 1 and 2.
Yeah, I like how it comes in with like a very accusatory tone for our listeners to start out with. Like, I think that's the energy we want to generate. The same way I imagine that's what the Coles want to generate as well. I was trying to think as you read through that.
Yeah.
Is there any other video game that starts with a piracy warning that you can think of? Like I know some of them will like shame you if you fail to put in the copy protection correctly, but I'm trying to think if I could recall any other that just like right off the bat is like, hey, you filthy pirate, we know you're filthy pirate in our games.
And yeah, just to be clear, because this is a risk to do that joke at the beginning if you are unfamiliar with that, but that's the message that plays at the beginning of Quest for Glory 1 and 2. I think like I think there's a small text thing in even modern games today that you'll find where it will say something like, it will have some sort of like, don't copy
that floppy.
Yeah. But I can't think of other ones. It's also interesting to me because I don't think it's in, like, to your point, I don't think it's in any non-Quest for Glory games, but it seems like it could be in any Sierra adventure game that, like, Quest for Glory 1 doesn't even really have copy protection. I don't know what it's referring to when it says that there's information in the documentation that's required to complete the game, because I haven't looked at the manual for it, and I understand we're doing a podcast about this. I haven't looked at the manual for it, the Famous Adventures Correspondence School manual that comes with Quest for Glory 1 in many years.
Yeah, I mean, it describes the spells, and I guess maybe some of the descriptions doesn't include descriptions of monsters that maybe give you some hints about, like maybe you can harvest cheetar claws or something. But yeah, I mean, all that's more just like tips more so than what you think of. It's not fourth word on the 11th page kind of copy protection.
If it's codename Iceman.
The game most similar to Quest for Glory in a lot of ways.
All right. Let's introduce ourselves. This is Quest, the point and click adventure game podcast. I'm Ben. I'm also on Twitch, PS_Garrick, GARAK. And
I am Jess. I am on Twitch, where I stream retro games every Wednesday night as Decaf Jedi.
Every night. That's right.
And practically every night. I mean, yeah. Basically, anytime I'm sure Ben's not streaming, I'm just on there streaming.
Yeah. Or when we're recording a podcast.
That's right. There's only two reasons I wouldn't be streaming. That's right.
Well, in addition to a pre-prepared written bit at the beginning, we have another new thing up here at the top, because this is the first podcast we've done since the podcast has started. So we have an email, and Jess, I didn't prepare you for this, but folks, we have an email.
Yeah.
All right, so this email let me get the volume on that right. So this email comes to us from Andy. Subject is one of Jess's, in quotes, friends. So Jess, I'll leave you to interpret what that means. Quote, I was one of those friends who played adventure games with Jess in the 80s. You have to understand one thing. Back then, Jess had a computer and I didn't. It wasn't about if I enjoyed it or even if I wanted to help. I had no choice. It was to either be his stair jockey, keeping Gwydion from falling off the cliff before Manannan returns, or no video games for me. I did what I had to survive. But seriously, I love King's Quest games today because Jess got King's Quest 2 for Christmas in 1986. This is an established bit of Jess lore. I think we both shared that initial storybook moment of the screen drawing and filling in the colors. I never embraced the rest of Sierra's catalog or the LucasArts games in the same way that Jess did. But I was one of those helpers who would sometimes control the joystick, help draw maps, try to solve puzzles. This music really makes this epic. A little melancholy too. And laugh the Leisure Suit Larry jokes, which yes, his parents got him, but he was probably too young for them. Anyway, I have fond memories of that time, and I'm grateful for Jess sharing those games with me. Anyway, I love the first podcast episode, and look forward to more. Andy, thank you, Andy.
Well, let me say this. First of all, Andy is my oldest and dearest friend. I literally met him on the school bus my first day of kindergarten. So, oldest and dearest friend, and I just want to say this, he can go straight to hell.
Wow.
I don't appreciate this implication that he was my stair jockey, that all he was there for was to control the joystick when I was doing all the heavy lifting. I mean, that's upsetting too. No, that's amazing. It is wild to think about the idea that, I've shared these sorts of games with people who've been important parts of my life for like literally, like 35, close to 40 years now. And it's great to hear from Andy. Again, dear friend, Andy did the design for the box art for StairQuest.
Yeah, that's good.
That was something super important to me. I wanted to get him involved because he had been there from the start when I first fell in love with King's Quest. And thank you, Andy, for writing that in. That was amazing. It warmed my heart to hear that. But yeah, don't criticize me on my podcast.
And if you want to send us an email for me to read over melancholy music, you could send that to us at questquestpodcast@gmail.com. questquestpodcast@gmail.com. All right. So Jess, I have a question here, which is, what have you been playing lately? Maybe this needs a sad little tune too. I'll have to dig through my royalty-free catalog.
That's right. We aren't paying for any of this. Don't get it twisted.
Well, I paid for the humble bundle of it.
Well, I mean, that's
paid
true.
a whole $20. All right, anyway.
I figured out what the lowest number I could put in there that would let me click submit on, and I did it.
Are you humble bundle guilting me?
No, Ben. I mean, I
bundle guilted?
I guess I just look at the charity and I look at the hardworking devs, and I just try to say to myself, like, am I in a position to make a difference in the world for these people and whatever charity they're helping out? And I also understand, though, why others would approach it like, how can I get as much for as little as possible? I think both are valid approaches.
Right. Okay, great. well, Jess, time for us to talk about the games we've been playing.
Okay.
That we've been playing lately. Go ahead, Jess.
I streamed this one just a couple of days ago, and I was really hyped about it. There is a new Rocky Horror Show video game that just came out titled The Rocky Horror Show video game. It is from Freak Zone Games, who previously did Manos, The Hands of Fate.
I believe
I believe they also did the Angry Video Game Nerd video game, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a platformer. It's a retro 8-bit kind of thing. And absolutely loved it. Super charming. It's like an hour of gameplay, which means for me, it took me about 2 hours to finish.
That's about the case with Monos. The Monos game is, I don't know if you played that too, but that's pretty, it's nice in and out.
Yeah, I haven't played that one. And this one is, I mean, if you love Rocky Horror, it is a great encapsulation. That's the word, isn't it? Encapsulation. Encapsulation of the film. It's fantastic. And the best part is it has an awesome chiptune soundtrack that just has wonderful versions of nearly the entire catalog of Rocky Horror picture show music. The most important takeaway is, in a world where all Rocky Horror games have been absolute garbage, like unfinishable, there's a point and click adventure game they've made and remade that is one of the worst games I've ever streamed.
Is that a point? What was that, point and click?
Ooh, that's
or was that because that is what was the name of that game? It was like Rocky Horror Picture Adventure Game. I think it
something
was
like that. Yeah, I mean, it's been so long, and I've tried to erase it from my brain.
And that's one of those like now that I've been watching so much of Jeff Gerstmann play all the NES games on his Twitch, like now I identify that as, oh, that is a extremely British, like it was probably on like the Spectrum or certainly on the Commodore 64. They had a very specific way that their games, like that they made games like that at the time, that to us Americans is just completely inscrutable.
Absolutely. That was the word I was going to use. Yeah, I mean, I see those games, and like I played I think a Miami Vice game for the Spectrum once, and I don't know why that license would be a popular Spectrum license, and it was a bizarre game.
Did you ever play on a Spectrum? Have you ever played or just like emulated it?
I've emulated, I believe. Okay. I've never even seen one of the things in real life.
Yeah, because I don't know if like maybe they imported some of them or tried to. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen an Amiga in real life.
You've never seen an Amiga?
I don't think I've ever seen an Amiga.
Here in the spring here in the Midwest, there's the Midwest Gaming Classic, which is up in Milwaukee. And one of the things that they've had in the past, and I think they still have, is they have like a room which is like the retro computer room, and you just walk through a room and there's like, a PC Junior in it. Like there's all the old computers that everyone that is listening to this is like, oh yeah, I had that Tandy. And you get to look at it, and usually they have King's Quest 1 on them.
There you go. That's what you want to see.
So
that's what it's all about.
You can see the screens fill in, which is very cool.
That's nice that a retro gaming convention, they have a little PC room, because I always feel bad in retro gaming spaces when I remember that like the retro gaming I really care about is such a tiny, tiny slice of what retro gaming actually is. Like you walk into a retro game store and it's like, we have all the PlayStation 3 games you could ever want, but we don't even stock like old computer games. Or, you search the retro category on Twitch and I'm like, why isn't everybody here playing point and click adventure games?
It sucks to be like, it's like, oh wow, nerd culture is so popular, everyone plays video games. And then like it's like oh, you play video games, where are you playing? And it's like you push up your glasses and go, it's like, well, recently I've been playing Conquest of the Longbow, a game made in and they're like, oh no, you're still a nerd, like you're still this is still unacceptable to me.
I think that's it. I think there's no amount of mainstreaming of nerd culture that could ever make adventure games popular with a large audience. Like I think no matter how popular nerd culture becomes, it will remain a niche within that community.
Walking Dead, that was popular.
A game that we famously liked a lot when we talked about it on stream. We're retconning that episode. That we loved it. It was great. What have you been playing though, Ben? I've been playing Rocky Horror.
Everybody knows what I've been playing.
I know what you've been playing.
If you know me, if you've been watching my streams, I've been playing UFO 50. That is my game of the year. It will be impossible for there's 2 months left on the clock, but I think it's extremely unlikely for anything like UFO 50. If you're unfamiliar, it's currently only on Steam, I believe. It's yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it will eventually end up on consoles, right? Like that seems like
It's gotta be on Switch, right?
yeah, it's gotta go on the Switch. Anyway, it is a collection of fictional games, or like actual games, but games from a fictional 80s console or series of consoles from the 80s, from 1982 to 1989. And they're all real, like full games, and they're all kind of riffs and clever takes on games from then, or retro versions of contemporary games, or fresh ideas of their own. And yeah, I mean, I was playing it earlier today. I was playing it yesterday. I've been playing it intensely for the past month. I have 80 hours in it.
Wow.
I've beaten, of the 50, I've beaten, I think 17 or 18 of the games. Like,
wow, that's only an hour and a half per game, though. So I mean, really, when you think about it, it's not that that bad. Yeah, I mean,
that's a great point.
Ben, can I ask you this? You
Right.
said it's your game of the year,
right?
Do you think this is a legitimate game of the year contender, like at the broader level of the gaming press? Do you think this is one that is in the running?
I don't think.
Or has it not broken through enough?
I think it's interesting because I think a lot of the reviews of the game were extreme. Like some of them were extremely positive. But sometimes when I've heard like journalists or critics talk about it,
journos,
like, yeah, the hated media. But when I hear them talk about it, it's like they didn't go as deep on it, which is to say, because it's 50 games.
Yes.
And so like they might have had to put like a set amount of time with each game and go like, all right, that's I got it. So I don't know. Like I think my feeling is that it is going to rest comfortably at a high of 3 and a low of 6 in top 10s of the year. That's my feeling. It's
going to get mentioned in end of year recaps. What did come out this year? Like, what is the game of the year?
I have no idea. See, also the other thing of being a nerd that only like streams things that like 24 people are interested on a good night is that I couldn't even tell you what's popular right now.
Yeah, Call of Duty 6, Black Ops.
I mean, Balatro. That will probably be 2s. That Balatro will probably exist on the 2 level for most people, I think.
Ben, can I be completely frank with you?
Fine.
We said we wouldn't get serious tonight, but here we are.
Yeah.
I have heard of Balatro.
I
have seen a number of headlines about it. I've seen people post about it on social media. I literally could not tell you what genre, what concept, what platform. I thought for weeks that it was one of the games in UFO 50.
Oh, great. Oh, you know what's probably going to be number 1 is the Astro, like the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, the
Astro.
Astro
It's nuts, and probably the Zelda. Anyway, sorry, continue. That just popped in.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm now afraid to look it up. I don't know.
Well, Jess, Balatro is like one of those roguelike deck builder games, except that it is based on poker. So I have to like pay money in their real store to get like a 2 of diamonds. No, it's all there's no actual gambling in it. But they like Balatro You have to build poker hands to make a certain amount of chips. And their Balatro means Joker, and there are a variety of Jokers in the game that you can hold in your hand that have special like superpowers that modify your hand and like make certain cards worth more, certain suits worth more, or like certain things. And so it's like a cheating at poker game kind of. It's a lot of fun. It's an enormous amount of fun. That's why everybody is crazy about it. Have you
I know everybody's crazy about it.
Have you played any deck builder? Like, have you played Slay the Spire or any of that?
Is Marvel Snap a deck builder? Or that's more of like a collectible card game, right? That's totally different genres. We're hitting into the area of gaming where my knowledge and experience is at the absolute bottom. I don't think I've played a proper deck builder.
Okay. Well, Slay the Spire is very good, and Balatro is also very good. There you go.
Do you remember the Homestar Runner cartoon where Homestar's out building a deck? It's very good. It's a good one. He talks about how he's going to use galvanized nails a lot. He's like, "We're going to use galvanized nails."
Do you think that if that cartoon was made today, they would make a like, you know, Strong Dad would make a joke, like he would show up and be like, "Oh, I've heard of deck builders, but not building a deck." You know,
I think so.
Like
yeah,
because you know they're nerds. They love nerd humor. So are you ready to talk about today's subject, Quest for Glory 1?
So you want to be a hero?
That's right. I like this little snare drum.
Yeah.
I love that. It's little tune.
That fanfare.
It's the little tune with the version of the theme with a little snare drum. And this is so Quest for Glory 1, when I go back and I play it like I did today, I set it up to play, like, to emulate the same type of sound that my computer did at the time, which was, so this is like the ad-libs, like the ad-lib compatible. This is Sound Blaster Pro, and with digitized sound effects off.
Gotcha.
Which means that it does synth versions of the digital noises. So it's like if somebody knocks at a door, it doesn't make a door knock noise. It just goes like a ding, ding, ding.
Plonk, plonk, plonk.
Yeah, and that's how I remember the game.
Yes. That's important. When you're playing a game like this, you want to get some degree of fidelity with your memory. And for me, I think I played it on the same source system. I think I played this on my Tandy 1000 TX, which was my second computer. And same boat there. I'd upgrade from Tandy 3 voice to some sort of Sound Blaster knockoff. And that was the version of the thing that plays as you leave town for the first time, right? Which is absolutely maybe one of my favorite music cues in Sierra history. There's just something about it, like you're going out into the world and here it is, your quest is now properly begun. Oh my gosh, I love it. It is so good.
So Jess, why did we pick Quest for Glory? Of all the games, we just talked about The Walking Dead. Of all the games in the world, why Quest for Glory 1? Why are we talking about Quest for Glory 1 today?
I think I can speak for both of those because we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
For both of us, Quest for Glory 1 is a huge comfort game, right? Like it's one of those games that if I want to just chill out in a game that I know forward and backwards, that I love, that I can just sort of let wash over me for an hour or two, Quest for Glory 1 is on that very short list of games for me that really serves that purpose just flawlessly. It is a comfort game that's beyond compare. There you go. That lovely sound. No, but Ben, would you agree? Is that why this one was appealing to you? I mean, the world's falling apart around us.
Yeah.
And a comfort game like Quest for Glory, a place like Spielberg, is where I want to be right now.
Yeah, exactly that. Like Quest for Glory 1 is a game, as you said, I know it like all the way, like back to front. I know I have the entire map memorized. I've had the map memorized since I was, I don't know, 8 when I first played it. I have the character, I have the build that I always build, I have the order that I always do it. I generally will play a hero to the point where I get him to like 99 in every single skill.
Yes.
Before I beat the game. Like it is uh like, and this sound effect is like white noise. I should probably put this, like, maybe I should like, do you think that there could be a Sierra ASMR channel
Oh man!
of
Actually,
this?
I'm sorry. I just registered the YouTube channel Sierra ASMR. So too bad if you were thinking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this sounds like an amazing idea. Like I was literally just thinking, it's like, why not upload a video that's just like 10 hours of forest sounds from Quest for Glory
Sierra
1.
forest sound. Well, because some other ones have this forest, like, because I said longbow that has this. A couple games have the no music bird song.
Yes.
Forest.
And I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I mean, this is amazing to me right now. No, this is the problem. Like, I feel like we're going to spend this whole episode gushing about just how everything about Quest for Glory 1 is perfect. And that's because I think it may be. I think this is on the short list of best Sierra games of all time for me.
Yeah, it's the UFO 50 of Sierra games. For
That's
sure.
what everybody's been saying lately. Because it's 3 games in 1.
Yeah. Now here, I'll turn off the goodbye forest sounds. So, but let's make an important distinction here, because this is a big distinction, and it also, in the eyes of some of the listeners, this might be disqualifying for me. Jess, what version of the game do you play?
The correct one. I play the EGA version.
And Ben, which version do you play? I play the version that I played when I was a child, which was the VGA remake.
Yes.
Which undoubtedly is the best of the VGA remakes that Sierra did. It's better than the Space Quest and the Police Quest and all the other remakes.
I think without a doubt. I mean, yeah, that it is the only one that I think there's an argument to be made that it is better than the original. I still prefer the original because it's what I played. I think if I'm being completely honest, VGA
if it's a comfort game, you are playing it to play it like you played it.
That's exactly right. That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly. But yeah, I mean, the others are of varying quality. Like I can't publicly say that I like the VGA version of Space Quest 1 because that is too hot of a topic in the Space Quest community. People will get mad at me.
I think it's fine.
I don't know, man. I've gotten in hot water before praising.
Listen. I'm just saying. I know you can't, because it gets political. I get it.
It gets real political real fast.
It gets very political.
So political.
Yeah, it gets very political.
I mean, just the politics of it all.
But I'm not afraid to make enemies.
That's right. That is your defining trait. Just like you made enemies of all the people who are going to pirate our podcast just so they could share it with a loved one. Because I mean, I would think piracy of a podcast includes like if someone else is sitting in your car while you're listening to it. It's like they didn't download that. I didn't.
You wouldn't listen to a podcast in a car
that you stole. But no, I mean, yeah, that for me, yeah, the others, I mean, Leisure Suit Larry 1 remake, whatevs. What else got a remake? Police Quest.
There's Police Quest 1 has a Psy Zero.
Yes.
Like an SCI Zero remake.
Which is pretty good. I mean, it adds some additional writing, which that game's sort of thinly written.
Writing, which is pretty fun.
But even then, inessential.
What is great, what I love about the VGA version. And again, this is because
Mhm.
this is the version that I played when I got it. This is the one that I got. And did I tell you this, Jess? I got it because someone in a chat room
Oh,
in
wow.
uh the Imagination Network. Maybe it
Oh,
was
man.
when it was TSN. Maybe this is when it was the Sierra Online. Said to me, "Oh, you like all the Quest games?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Well, have you played Quest for Glory?" I was like, "No." It's like, "Quest for Glory is the best one."
That user's name, Corey C.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, that I can tell you how I got this game. I went on a trip with my parents to the nearest Radio Shack, which was about 30 minutes away from where I grew up. I was a kid. I didn't know, I didn't have access to catalogs that would tell me what was out or anything. So a lot of times when I found out about a new Sierra game, it was simply by merit of walking into this Radio Shack and seeing it sitting on a shelf somewhere. And I walked in, and on the shelf, saw Heroes Quest. I was like, that sounds interesting. I pulled it down. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a Sierra game. At that point, I was already hooked on Sierra. I asked the sales guy about it, and he said, oh, you're going to like that one. And I bought it with my own money. It may have been the first game I ever purchased with my own money. I think I may have dropped a cool $39.99 on that baby.
Whoa.
So it probably been out a little while.
I think I remember this story specifically because I was like, I got it, and my thought still to this day when I play it is, you know, I'm impressing that guy that told me.
Yeah. I'm showing him I'm a young man with refined tastes.
Like that person told me it's the best one, and in a chat room in Sierra's early 90s massively
Mhm.
multiplayer video gaming service. And you know what? Like now that person, whoever it is, we're forever linked. And I'm absolutely sure he does not remember this at all.
You never can tell, Ben. Don't discount the impact you may have had on this person's life.
Well, what, receiving advice?
I love when people take my advice. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So I get, and I could get. I mean, here, yeah. I mean, this is where we diverge. You're a VGA person. I'm an EGA person. Can we agree what the correct class to play is?
Thief.
With
Oh, magic.
undoubtedly, right? Thief
That way you
with
can do
1 point of
everything.
magic. Yeah, it's wonderful. Have you ever played through as a fighter, just a straight fighter?
Yeah, just to do it. Now here, let me rewind a little bit just in case there is someone that's listening to this podcast and is like, "Wait a minute. I don't know what Quest for Glory 1 is. I just randomly mashed the play button
Mm-hmm.
and decide to keep
My
listening after a half hour."
my cat was pawing in my iPhone, and this
Yeah.
started playing. Yeah,
But Quest for Glory 1 is the first of a quintet, right? 5 games.
sure.
Of adventure games with a RPG element. It also is unique in the sense that you can carry your character from game to game, like copying over the skills that you accrue and magic and so on. This is the first game, and in the first game, you come to the sleepy town of Spielberg, which is a very like Germanic, like a little alpine sleepy village, and an evil witch, Baba Yaga, has cursed the valley,
Yes.
and like, and since the curse, all sorts of terrible things have happened. The Baron's daughter has been kidnapped. Baron's son has vanished, and horrible brigands have come to like lay siege to the small town. And you're someone that quote unquote attended the famous adventurers correspondence school,
Which is a great
and
joke.
incredible joke,
Yes.
great joke. And it's just like the subtitle of the first game is "So You Want to Be a Hero." Heroes Quest : So You Want to Be a Hero. Now, was "So You Want to Be a Hero" added after they got rid of Heroes Quest, or was it Heroes Quest
That
So you want to be a hero?
Question. Let's see here. Let me look at my copy here on my shelf. Just a moment. Scooch, 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 scooch. Ben, can you still hear me?
I'll put on some melancholy email music.
Yeah, it was on the cover.
Okay, so it was
Hero It was still Quest. Subtitled, so you want to be a hero.
That's very funny. But in the game, you can be one of 3 different classes: a fighter, a magic user, or a thief, and that gives the game replayability because each has a way of solving many of the puzzles. Though you can also solve the puzzles whichever way you want. So if you're a thief, you can use magic if you have that skill.
Right. Yeah, there are only a few areas where it really limits you. Things like thieves don't have the zap spell, which maybe shuts you down in playing Mage's Maze with Erasmus and a few things like that. But no, is that right? Am I imagining that?
You don't have I think you can do Mage's Maze.
Maybe you can, but you do lose one spell if you aren't a straight up magic user.
I think it's still doable. It's been now. I didn't touch that on my replay.
And I mean, basically, what you're getting here is a classic Sierra adventure game with kind of light RPG, very Dungeons and Dragons-y RPG elements bolted onto it. And that was a lot of the origin. The Coles have talked about their love of Dungeons and Dragons and running campaigns prior to the creation of this. You even see it in the art. The goblin design when you're in your combat with a goblin looks like it was practically traced out of the first edition D&D monster manual. It's dressed in the same outfit, wielding the same weapons. I mean, it's definitely wearing its inspiration on its sleeve.
Well, one thing I want to say is that I love about the VGA version is that it has its own, like the art in the EGA and the 16 color version is beautiful and great on its own, but the VGA version goes in a completely different direction. And for all the character models, like especially the close-ups and the monsters when you fight them, were all modeled in clay and then painted out, like shrunk down and painted over for the computer. And it makes all of the characters look extremely bizarre and funky.
I was going to say it makes all the monsters look cool and all the humans look like monsters, which is kind of a fun bit. But I love that. I think that's such a cool choice. And I remember long before I played the VGA remake of it, because I don't think I had that as a kid. I don't think I played the VGA remake until I was an adult. But I read about the making of the VGA remake in Interaction magazine. And they had a whole behind the scenes feature.
Whoa, how'd they get behind the scenes on that, Jess?
Well, they walked down the hall. They got photos of like them sculpting all the clay models and everything. And that was mind blowing to me as a kid. I was just like, I didn't know you could do that in computer games. What are you talking about? And I was so fascinated. And like all issues of Interaction magazine, I probably read it like 30 times. I can like picture that spread from the magazine in my head of just because I must have just read over and over again. It's like, oh my God, I love Quest for Glory 1. And now it's got claymation in it. Yes, take me there.
I remember one of the more freaky like faces that they have in it is that the guard that runs the gate, like the gatekeeper.
Yes.
Like his face close up, he has like a pig's nose that's like flared up. And as a small child, I have to tell you, that provided me with no end of amusement. I was just the first time I saw that face, I could not stop laughing. Like it was like, that man has a pig's nose.
That's funny. I mean, you know who else has a pig nose? The 2 guys from Andromeda.
Wow. Yeah, Sierra really was cornering the market on pig noses.
That's right. That was their big thing. If I recall, the healer, doesn't she have like some crazy lighting on her face.
Oh,
that
her
just
eyes
yeah
look like, yeah, she doesn't, her face does not entirely make sense.
yeah. I get that. I can sympathize. But no, this is. I mean, you can tell just both of us. I think this is the kind of game that we're in a category of. We really can just close our eyes and kind of run through it in our heads, and that's I think that is why we wanted to talk about it, because it's just one that's so near and dear to us. And I love the series as a whole. I think that, Ben, you've said before this is your favorite out of Quest for
My
Glory,
favorite
right?
one. This is
Yeah.
my favorite one.
I think it's, I think if you'd asked me 10 years ago, before I replayed a lot of these games and started streaming them and some stuff like that, I think back then I would have told you Quest for Glory 2, Trial by Fire was my favorite. I really love Quest for Glory 2. I like the Arabian Nights type setting. I'm willing to forgive the fact that the third act of the game just kind of falls apart. There's not really a whole lot
I don't
to
even
it.
know if you could say it falls apart. It's just a different game. It's
It
just
is.
insane.
Now it's just like channeling you so much down like a straight linear path.
I'm now realizing that for the AGD, the fan group that remade Quest for Glory 2, which both of us played on our streams when they did the VGA remake of Quest for Glory 2. uh I'm realizing like there was part of me that felt like kind of empty on their visuals, and they put a ton of work into this. This isn't, but it didn't connect with me, and I'm realizing now, you know what they could have done to really make me feel it is
What's that?
those fucked up clay heads. Like they like
Here's the
that's
thing.
my note. That's my note.
Yeah, Quest podcast is all about fucked up clay heads.
Yeah,
And
like and they put so much and free work into this. So please do not interpret this as an actual criticism. But man, like now I'm realizing that it's like that would have taken it all the way over the top
can you
for
imagine
me.
Ollie Faker, who runs the Saurus lot outside of Shapir, the
The
Groucho Marx
Groucho Marx.
stand-in,
Yeah.
in beautiful claymation with a little claymation cigar and everything.
None of the faces look real. Like no one looks real. Like because it's also they're all stylized.
Yes, already. It's
Like
already an
like
exaggerated.
yeah. So they're not using clay to make the faces look like an actual human's face. They're using them to make like the characters look kind of art. Like I don't know if there's a discernible like style across, which makes it even weirder. Like some of the
Yeah.
like I don't think you could say like, oh, they all have like like all the clay faces look like this, or they all look like this.
They all
So
have
there's a
exaggerated.
defining, yeah,
Yeah.
like oh, they all have an exaggerated nose, yeah, like
Yeah.
or something like that. No, they all look kind of squished up and weird in a unique way, which is even crazier. And so anyway, this volunteer project that took like several, like I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
Ben has
And
notes.
yeah. Like and oh, and by the way, will I help? No.
I don't know how to model clay. Wait, do I look like?
What you think I'm made of clay?
Oh,
Oh
let
my
me.
god, I am
Yeah.
made of clay.
Oh no, he's melting. No, the self-realization that he's been a clay man this entire time. Ben is now just a puddle.
I'm a Gumby. I'm a Gumby.
Oh no.
Yeah, see, that would have been fun. Quest for Glory 1 VGA has the cameo from Earl Sinclair from Dinosaurs.
Yes.
What if it was a cameo from Gumby, because there are all these clay freaks?
I think it'd sound a little something like this. Hit it, Ben.
Uh,
I was queuing you up for the classic "I'm Gumby, damn it" from SNL. Something we love to talk about in this, but this is a stealth SNL podcast, so I wanted to get that in there.
but anyway, well, I don't have that on the soundboard. I don't have "I'm Gumby, damn it." on the
You don't?
soundboard. No.
You could just
Uh,
read it from my tattoo if it would help.
but yeah, I mean, man, I'm probably gonna go back to those clay faces because now I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking even more because it's funny because they did really advertise it was on the back of the box too. It's like we
Yes.
use clay to make their like to make all of these models to make it look cool and like it they never did it again and you understand why because all the characters look like
Yeah.
freaks but you know what like
It's charming.
good freaks, great freaks,
Awesome
like
freaks.
the freaks that you want.
Yes, that's
Not
right.
not the bad, the good.
Mm.
Like every like oh man, and the sheriff's face is all bizarre. Like I'm also thinking about the guild
Mhm.
master who has I think like his mouth is always like partially open and a huge mustache.
Mhm.
Oh man, the art they really went off.
The kata look great though.
Yeah, they
The
do.
kata who are there strictly for erotic purposes look fantastic. The you mentioned the box too. I mean, again, just in case you're wondering where all this is going, it's just going to be Ben and I talking for the remainder of this podcast about how much we love this game. There's going to be no critical eye applied to it in any way, I don't think. But you mentioned, I don't know where I
I
began.
can't think of a single flaw.
But this
Like,
is,
I really can't think of any problems I
yeah,
have with it.
a lot of people at the time said they've done it. They finally made the best video game, and they were right. But
Yeah.
you mentioned the box for Quest for Glory One VGA really touting this clay element. I have to say, I think there's a strong case to be made that the Quest for Glory One VGA box is maybe the best Sierra box art of all time as well. The original is kind of a banger already, but the VGA
I
version,
mean, that original with the big red dragon.
yeah, that's good. But
Uh,
oh man, the stained glass look
hold on, I gotta
of the
look this up
VGA version,
now. Oh yeah, this
I
was.
think,
It is a
yeah,
very distinct. Like, yeah, it's a very. I mean, looking. Yeah, once again, it is impossible for me to be at all like say really anything at all about the like this game with any level of discernment because like I'm looking at this image here on like Google image search of the box and I'm thinking about holding this box in the electronics boutique.
oh man, yeah. I mean, that's the problem. Oh, I'm looking at an image of the sheriff right now, and oh my gosh, he's good. It's such a good face. That is
Experience amazing graphics. All new art and animation includes clay animation in combat and conversation. That's right. We love the clay.
it's all about the clay. That's what sets it apart. I have to say though, for me, I also love the bizarre color scheme of the EGA heroes outfit.
Oh, it's a very odd.
Magenta
Yeah.
pants and like a
Mhm.
royal blue shirt with
Mhm.
a black cape. It is such a bizarre look. And I mean, it carries over, I guess, at some level into Quest for Glory 2. And then by Quest for Glory 3, they put the hero in more normal tones
Yeah, he
that,
just kind of sticks in his like in that outfit for the rest of the game. Or for the rest of the series. I like the little riff that they did on it for the VGA version. Like they just didn't make him the hero from like they neither remade him from one nor did they just drop in the hero sprite from Quest for Glory 3, which I think they were making around the same time. But they, they gave him the nice cape. And the cape's cool. We all love the cape.
cape's
He
good.
should
Gotta
have
have a
kept the
cape.
cape. He should have kept the cape.
Gotta have a cape.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at screenshots too now. This is great radio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just kind of want to be here. This is where like I just saw the like a little cute screenshot from the Japanese version of it, the EGA Japanese version of the Antwerp. Like as a kid, I thought the Antwerp bit was just absolute gold. Loved the Antwerp. Loved when the Antwerp would drop from the sky to
when I
squish
figured
you.
out when I figured out what you had to do, that like so there's this character, the Antwerp, which is a bouncy character or a bouncy creature,
part walrus, part beanbag.
Yeah, and you attack it, and it attacks you by when you walk into the next screen, it lands on top of you. When I figured out that you can stop it by holding your sword up.
Yes.
Oh,
that's a good puzzle. I mean, this is also the game that, of course, gives us pick nose as a way to train your lock picking up with potentially deadly results.
Yeah, and like, oh man, like what's great about the game also is that it has a nice, like, so the Coles, the two people who designed it,
Lori and Corey,
they there's a nice they're not taking it terribly seriously. Like, it's not a comedy, but it's also not serious. It's it's a game with a light touch. And
yeah, the stakes feel kind of high for this small alpine village.
yeah,
but it's a light touch with that. Absolutely.
it's also that, like, you're probably the best hero that they could get.
Yes.
Is a guy that did the correspondence school, because like, there's, I think in the game, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 dozen people, maybe only like a dozen and a half talking characters. This is a guess, but it's like there aren't a lot of people around, and the monsters aren't particularly threatening or terrifying. Like, there are some big ones, but like, you know, the game makes it clear this is small potatoes.
Yes.
He's a baron, not a king.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that's what makes the progression through the series, which was something the Coles were thinking about when they designed this one, like where they wanted it to go. They were already playing out a 4-game arc that turned into a 5-game arc. You can tell they wanted it to be small potatoes. I mean, this really is Heroes Quest 1. This is you know, I want to be a mighty hero, Guybrush style kind of action at some level. And the stakes go up with each subsequent game, I feel like. I mean,
yeah, until the final game where you, like, the game ends with a big climatic dragon battle.
That's right, finally.
Spoilers
for Quest for Glory 5.
Yeah.
Additional spoiler. Don't play Quest for Glory 5.
It's fine. It's better. It's better than its reputation. It's fine.
Yes, absolutely. That is true. It's perfectly cromulent. It's fine. I mean, I can't imagine anyone who would rank it any higher than 5th on their favorites in the series, right? I mean, right?
Like, I don't know.
A lot of people hate Quest for Glory 3.
I might. I'd have to think about it. I mean, it's not great, but I don't think it's as bad as its reputation. I thought it was pretty interesting when I played it, and it tuned up like the RPG stuff, which was kind of. Anyway, this isn't. We're talking about one.
Yeah, no, I know.
Talking about one.
We're talking about one, man.
We're just talking about one.
The
ones and twos, but in this case, just the ones.
Just the ones. You know, I think about the game. You know, I think I've talked a lot before about the idea that something that I loved about Sierra's early games was how open and free they felt. And I think this is one that does that better than maybe any other game in the catalog. Like, I really do feel like once you walk out of those gates and you get that jaunty little rendition of the Quest for Glory 1 thing, there it is. Yeah, I mean, with the percussion, it's just beautiful.
But But yeah, like all those, like all of the earlier Sierra games were very, to your point, open world. Like King's Quest 1, 2, 3 to an extent, 4, like a bunch of those games, it's just like, all right, here's a big world, wander around it.
Yeah.
And
And there's room to solve puzzles in this one in different orders, which is really
yeah,
nice.
and
More
in
so
different
than the average
styles.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just that for me is what really sets it apart. And yeah, I think also there's so many elements of it that left me wanting more in a good way too. Like there were characters I was fascinated with. Like I thought Zara, the owner of the magic shop, in both versions of Quest for Glory 1 VJ, it's like incredibly cool character. Like that's
Yeah.
someone that, you know, I would love to see a little storyline with. I know that I've seen many a person talk about how they wish there was some sort of option for like a romance with Hilda. That's right, the centaur girl that
Yeah.
sells fruits and vegetables in Spielberg. Yeah, I mean that almost feels like cut content. I don't believe she is there for no reason.
Well, she's there to sell you fruit, which is
Yeah,
beat to the giant. Um,
yes,
the
groggy.
that's another character that looks just completely insane in the close up. Uh, the yeah, like I mean that's another thing about it is that I would love to play like just more of Quest for Glory 1. Like it's a but I think it's fine as it is. It's just like it's a world. What I love about it is that because since it has like these light RPG touches, which means that there's battles in it which are, you know, very light and, you know, I like the VGA interface for the fights. It's very straightforward and easy. I know in the original it's kind of hard, right?
It's a little fiddly. Like I don't know that I would call it hard. You know, if it's kind of what you got used to, it's not that bad. I still think that probably VGA is an improvement on the combat. I think that Quest for Glory 2 has the best combat in the series, but that's probably a controversial take. And we're not
Uh
talking about Quest for Glory 2. Shut it down.
yeah, shut down. Mind the ones. The but like what I like about it is that like what I wanted as a kid in so many of these games is I wanted to play an adventure game where like you just kind of live in the town and
Yes.
kind of hang out. Like it's like, oh, I don't really have to solve like, you know, like there are people that I could talk to and there are things to do and there are puzzles, but also I could just kind of walk around and talk to everybody. And that was like this game really scratched that itch and be like the later games to some extent, some of them 2 especially has like a timer and things happen on a specific calendar, whereas this you could do everything and it's leisurely. Like you might as well call your character Larry.
That's right. It's
It's
so
how
leisurely.
leisurely you could
Yeah.
play the game. You could go very long in it, and you know play darts, uh,
Hmm.
and you could play Mage's Maze. Excuse me. There are what 2 mini games in addition to fighting, which is kind
Yeah.
of a mini game. Yeah, there's Mage's Maze, which is a little magic mini game, which is
That's
kind of a pain in
terrible.
the ass.
I mean, that maybe that is my one criticism I have of the game is that. But no, I mean, this is exactly right. I mean, you mentioned earlier.
And then darts,
Pardon
which
me.
is fun. Dag
we
nabbit.
Dag nabbit. We You mentioned leveling up, grinding your stats at the top. And absolutely, that's how I played this too. Again, without a real timer, there are a couple of timed bits, but if you know how to kick them down the road, they aren't going to really slow you down much. But for me, what I really liked about that too is thinking about it almost from like a fourth wall kind of standpoint of imagining these people of Spielberg who've placed all their hopes in you and they have to watch you go outside of the city gates and just bend
Try
over
to
and pick
climb
up
a tree.
handfuls of rocks and just throw them at nothing for hours. It's like he did that for over 12 hours today and then he just stood around and rested in place and then did it some more. And and that it's even better by the time you get to Quest for Glory 2 because then it's like he just goes out in the desert and throws rocks all day and pops stamina pills. Like he's just like taking
this guy's got a problem.
Yeah, he's just taking trucker speed all day long and throwing rocks at nothing.
Yeah, like the healer is just like, yeah, he's been trying to climb the tree outside of my healer's hut for 3 days now, and he keeps falling.
He's doing it so rapidly. Like he's just really just scraping those arms and legs on the side of it and just getting nowhere. He's just pressing his body up against it and isn't even leaving the ground. I don't know what to do. And then earlier he got up there and he fell flat on his ass. Just fell right out of that tree. Maybe I should just go out there and tell him I'm fine without the ring. It was not that important to me after all.
Yeah. Yeah, if you consider any of that, that doesn't quite make sense. That is true.
Ben, did you name your character after yourself? Did you make when you play, were you as a kid, were you Ben in the game?
I think I was Ben in the game.
You were Ben in the game?
I think I was Ben in the game. Yeah, I think my character. What was your character's name?
Sly Nimble Fingers was my thief name.
I think
Nimble Fingers.
Now, I think sometimes I would call him Sneak.
Oh, that's pretty good.
You were playing D&D though. That's a very D&D ass name, right?
Absolutely. I was already playing D&D as a small child. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so all right, here's a note I have here. How often do you return to Quest for Glory 1, Jess? If this is a comfort game, how often do you come back to this?
I feel like I get this once a year. I think this is a once a year hit for me. Is about all I need. I need to play this once a year. I need to play Space Quest 3 once a year. I need to play King's Quest 2 once a year. And that's just to get right. That's just to get even and be able to function. If I don't play all 3 of those once a year, other parts of my life begin to suffer.
I see. I think I revisit one or revisit this game once a year, maybe every other year sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I revisit it, and that doesn't necessarily mean I beat it every year.
No, don't need to.
And but sometimes I'll get a a wild hair and then go oh, you know what? Maybe I'll go on to 2, and then I just kind of stop there. Yeah. I'll play a little bit of 2 and then be like, eh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both of us a couple of years back started a full series playthrough. Yeah, we did all 5 on our streams with competing streams on Tuesday nights. Ben, you would stream as a thief.
Yep.
And I would stream on Wednesday. On Wednesday nights, I would stream as Wizzo, my magic user. And we took those characters 1 through 5. It's the first time I've ever done that. I seldom even bothered importing my character from one to another. I usually just start over fresh. So yeah, that was really exciting to actually get to take a character all the way through the series. What a great idea. I know that it wasn't the first game to have some of that ability to carry over characters.
Like wizardry, you can carry your party from.
Maybe one of the Bard's Tales did that too, or am I imagining that?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but certainly wizardry 1 through 3 at least.
Yeah, but what a wonderful idea. I mean, you really do, even though, it's the level of characterization beyond just the name is the same pretty much regardless. It is a great way to feel attached to a character.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you a real sense of scale. And also, the thing is that I love, as I said, I love how low the stakes are in this game. I like that it's a cozy little town, a sleepy little town with just a couple sleepy little town problems.
One witch.
Just one witch, and she's very food obsessed.
Yeah, that's all. And then some brigands who honestly are pretty charming too. The 3 Stooges are there. There's a court jester.
We're gonna have to talk about the 3 Stooges puzzle because that is the strangest. That's easily the strangest puzzle in this game, right?
It's gotta
It's the
be. I think
strangest.
it is. I think
So,
it's the
all
strangest
right.
puzzle in this game.
So in this game, if you haven't played it, in the climax of the game, there is a sequence where you are you've infiltrated the brigand's base and you have to get into the next room, but between you and the next room are three brigands that are obviously the Three Stooges, and it's a series of timed like inputs. Like it's like when they come near this thing, then you have to
Push over the
push the
candelabra to
chair.
block them,
Yeah,
and
like there's,
bolt the door,
but
and
you have to do it in like, you have to time it. You can't do it all like immediately. You have to do it
yeah.
like when they're in the correct position.
And you almost
Um,
certainly have to learn it through trial and error, right? I think it'd be
it is
very hard to
absolutely,
get
yeah.
that.
There is no
Yeah,
way
it'd be a
that you could
miracle.
get it the first time, like because I didn't even know like some of those things in that room were interactable. You know.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's a wild puzzle, and I mean it ends the best way a puzzle can, which is dropping a chandelier on some bad guys, right? I mean
And
that
they're
is
all going whoop 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 whoop.
absolutely. I mean that's all I ever want out of as a kid who grew up loving cartoons and stuff. I want to drop chandeliers on people. So, I mean, but it is it's a strange puzzle,
And
but
it
it's
and it dead ends you. It just kills you immediately. Like
absolutely
if you fail it, it's not that you go into a
mm,
fight with them,
right.
which would have been fun.
Which would have been
Uh,
consistent with the rest of the game
yeah,
too. You know, it's
yeah.
like
It's very
yeah,
strange that like in this scenario they just kill you immediately. Like it just
yeah,
Sierra dead ends you if
yeah.
you don't solve it.
Because by that point, I think the hero could easily kill all three Stooges. I mean, who do you think's the
Yeah,
hardest
I
Stooge to
think
kill?
that the Stooges are not a threat for the hero.
If you've killed a Cheetar, you're telling me you can't kill Larry Fine?
Yeah, I mean, like Mo's quite a scrapper.
Well, they all
Uh,
seem fairly indestructible too. Well,
yeah.
now that I'm thinking about this, Ben, could you defeat the Three Stooges given their incredibly high thresholds for pain?
See, that's the problem. Is that like, yeah, and it's like, Mo always somehow gets a full hand of Larry's hair when it's making that sound effect, like,
Yes.
like that crunch crunch crunch. They had
Mm-hmm.
such a fun. Now see that, hey Coles. Now see, you can improve this scene with the Three Stooges is if you added some of those Three Stooges Columbia sound effects that made it like the bonk, you know.
Yes.
Oh, have you ever watched any?
Ah.
Have you ever watched any of the Three Stooges when they're very very old, and it's
Yes.
Moe and Larry and Curly Joe, and it like it's not quite as there's a little more of an air of tragedy to it because you're like they're old men and you're anxious about them getting hurt.
Ben, have you ever watched the 1970s cartoon, The Robotic Stooges?
No, I have not watched the 1970s cartoon, the
Robonic.
Robonic.
Yes.
Robonic?
Are you familiar with this?
What's a robonic? What does that mean?
I don't know why it's called that instead of robotic because they are just the Three Stooges with like
Uh-huh.
Inspector Gadget
Yeah.
style upgrades. And
Robonic.
yeah, they're
Look
robotic.
at that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone who's listening, please Google the Robonic Stooges because I think in a lot of ways it's the definitive interpretation of the Stooges. There was,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's good stuff, but maybe we're going down too much of a rabbit hole of Stooges.
Scatman Carruthers did a voice.
Oh,
I might have
yeah,
to watch. All right. There aren't that many episodes of this, and the last episode's a clip show. There are
and
32 episodes, and one of them's a clip show.
and all three Stooges were absolutely dead by
Yeah.
this point, so that's an interesting twist.
Yeah, like
It's like Lost.
wow. It is like Lost.
It's a lot like Lost. People don't
Yeah.
realize that.
The Robonic Stooges. Man, in 2021, it was announced that the Robotic Stooges would become a comic book series.
Finally.
Did you pick this up 3 years ago? Issue 1 of the Robotic Stooges.
Yeah, I've sent it away for grading and slabbing, so it'll be coming back soon, hopefully in even more valuable form. I'm going to get that sucker on eBay.
Yeah,
my 9.2 copy of Robotic Stooges #1 is going to make me a mint. Whoop, 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 whoop.
All right. So they also had in the Quest for Glory games, like they would have like comedy duos or groups show up, like the Three Stooges non-robotic show up in 1. The Marx Brothers show up in 2. Was Sanford and Son?
Yes.
Would that be who you would say is in? And then is there no one in 4 or 5?
Well, if you consider several Jack Nicholson's a comedy crew.
I mean, that was just voice actors who decided that they weren't interested in reading the script.
Yeah.
Several Jack Nicholsons.
That's right.
Of varying quality.
Yes. None of which are great.
Oh, wait, you know what, though? Doesn't one of them look like Laurel?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, one of them looks like Laurel, so maybe there's a Hardy in there. I don't really know Laurel and Hardy that well.
I don't necessarily either. But yeah, I like that element of it. Like, I think the Sanford and Son, I don't know. I probably am the exact...
feels a little too current. Like if you're doing 40s, like if you're doing groups that have roots in vaudeville.
That's an odd one to choose. I mean, for me though, I have to say that was just such an...
Why didn't they have Abbott and Costello?
It hit hard.
Why didn't they have Abbott and Costello?
Yeah.
Like it's like... Oh,
that's pretty good. Abbott and Costello. Yeah, that's both of them, right?
Yeah, that's both of them. Oh man, I want to watch. I've been jonesing for Abbott and Costello. I watched Abbott and Costello as a kid too, and
that's one I don't have.
Robotic Abbott and Costello.
That's the definitive version. Who's on first? That's his like mechanic.
As a kid, let's go back to the beginning. As a kid, like, talk about like nerd things that no one's interested in. Going back to the schoolyard, I'm playing Quest for Glory 1. I'm obsessed with Quest for Glory 1. I'm having my parents buy me VHS tapes of Three Stooges shorts, and I have like this VHS of one of the Abbott and Costello movies that I just like played again and again, and I tried to make my friends watch with me.
Yeah, no,
like,
I was
like, yeah, I'm cursed.
I was watching. I mean, this point in my life, I was already watching Marx Brothers stuff. I was obsessed with 70s variety shows. Like, I watched a ton of Laugh-In and Sonny and Cher, which I think I've mentioned before on this stream.
Yeah.
These are like, yeah, that's the kid I was. And needless to say, yeah, coming to the playground and be like, hey, did anyone see that episode of Laugh-In that aired last night on Nick at Night? You're not going to get a lot of takers on that.
Yeah, no, you go up, you go up to the schoolyard and you say like, the last seat on Match Game is actually the hardest one to occupy because by then all the jokes have been told. But I think we can all agree the winner of that spot is obviously Betty White. And all the kids are like, yeah, he's right.
To bring this back to Sierra, I was probably the only...
Wait, what are we talking about?
I was probably the only kid on Earth that when they're like, we have Gary Owens narrating Space Quest 4, I was like, yes! I love that guy from Laugh-In. He's so good. I absolutely did. Like, I knew exactly who it was. I was just like, that's the perfect choice.
Young Jess pumping his fist at the Funko Land. Uh, looking at a
I mean,
box.
I think the thing we need to really stress is Ben and I were both very cool children.
Yeah, very cool and
Like
still cool.
popular. I guess popular and cool would be the two words I would use to describe us.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more popular. Ben's a little bit more cool.
Yeah.
But we're both cool and popular.
I need when and that's a thing that also Heroin Quest could add is I don't think Heroin's Quest which is like a fan Quest for Glory type game that's quite good
Yes.
that came out. I don't know if it has a classic comedy team show up in it. So much like my note towards another hard like high effort incredible volunteer game that
Free.
people spent years on that is free. My tip for Heroine's Quest is like add Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. I mean, here's my thing. It's like Heroin's Quest, I think one of the best Sierra fan games maybe ever made.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
One of the best. It blew my mind when I played
Yes.
that game.
It is like of a quality that's not that far from the originals. You know, again, who knows how many hours of labor went into that, given away absolutely for free.
I think now it has a cost associated with it.
Maybe it always did. Maybe I'm lying about
No, it came out free.
Okay. And I guess what I'm working my way around to is would have killed you to do some claymation?
Yeah. You know what? Get some clay, get a kiln.
And mation it.
Then and then just mation it.
Just get that clay and just mation the hell out of it.
Yeah, just mation it. Hello?
Yeah, it's clay.
It's clay.
You can go to Michael's Crafts and buy some clay.
Just give Michael a call. Hey,
yeah,
Mike.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, it's me, Mike. It's me, Jess. I was looking for some clay. I was thinking about doing some mation later this afternoon. I need some clay to work with.
Oh yeah. Later on, I'm driving to Joe's.
Crab Shack?
No, the fabric.
We don't have that.
Joanne fabric.
Oh,
I'm
Joanne.
also being casual.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, Joanne. Yeah. And I'm just going there.
Very good, Ben.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm just going there to get a bolt of cloth to wrap myself in while I do my claymation to keep my clothes nice and clean.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked about the claymation and we talked about Abbott and Costello, so I think we're all set. Is there any final thoughts at Quest for Glory 1?
Good game. I mean, if there is the most remote chance that anybody listening to this hasn't played it, obviously go play Quest for Glory 1. I suspect everyone who's listening to this also loves Quest for Glory 1 because honestly, I don't know if I've ever spoken to someone who enjoys Sierra games that has played Quest for Glory 1 that doesn't like it. I take that back. I think my friend the Space Quest historian does not care for it. But other than him, everyone loves Quest for Glory 1, right? That's a consensus opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. All the polls are in. Quest for Glory 1 is the best one.
Yes. Strong contender for best Sierra game of all time.
Yeah, I love it. I have a poster behind me of Spielberg. The first like a panorama of the town as you enter it in VGA, and I look at it all the time because
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's just one of my favorite games, and it is a game as that lets you occupy a space, and there are a lot of games I enjoy where a lot of the joy of it is actually because I just like being where the game is putting me. Like sometimes I'll play a game and it's like, oh well, this has very interesting mechanics, or there's very interesting strategy, or like the arcade bit is cool. But sometimes you're just playing a game, and a lot of RPGs have this, and you come to appreciate like this fictional spot that it puts you in for the whole game, and So it's just kind of a cool place to be. And that's why I love Quest for Glory 1.
It has a sense of place, of space, of geography. There's a sense that there's a history here in this little community that you're just stepping into.
Mm-hmm.
It is such an evocative setting. And, I think all the games do a great job with their setting. I don't know if any of them ever do any better than Quest for Glory 1 does. And that's why it gets the Quest seal of approval.
All right. Well, so thank you once again. You can watch us on Twitch, PS_Garrick and Decaf Jedi. Please rate and review so people can find this podcast. You can send us an email at questquestpodcast@gmail.com. That's questquestpodcast@gmail.com. And then you can join us next week for when we discuss why you should be closer to the object that you're going to interact with. So we'll be talking about that next week on Quest. We'll see you then. Bye.